All right.
Is it recording? Just has been.
You know what just played in my head? The drum beat with the 3, 2, 1 from iCarly.
Why don't we...
Adam is Freddy.
I know. You see, somehow the world will change for me and you wonderful.
Copyright.
Oh no.
We just got hit with a copyright strike. I can feel it.
Whack.
Have you watched BoJack Horseman?
No.
Dude.
What was that?
Dude, shit's whack though. Like, I started it the other day and I'm already on season 3. But Melody was the one, because The Office got taken off of Netflix not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they took off Orin High School Host Club. Literally my 2 comfort shows. It's like, how do I operate?
Where do I
go?
Who do I turn to?
In short, I'm going to buy Crunchyroll because I need Oron. But I refuse to download Peacock.
Yeah.
You're going to take one show and build an entire streaming platform around one show.
That's
And expect
a
me
bold
to pay
move.
$10 a month for
It's
just
$10?
The Office. For just The Office.
Jeez.
Bullshit. Anyway, they took both of those off. I didn't have another show to watch, and Melody was like, you should give BoJack Horseman a try. Like, it's really good for background noise and all this stuff. It is the most depressing shit. And I thought it was a show about a horse.
Yeah, wait.
I thought it was a show about a horse.
A horseman.
Yeah, a horseman. Like, the plot is that he's, like, some washed-up sitcom star. But he has, like, a severe drug addiction. He's an alcoholic. They're trying to get a ghostwriter for his book. Like, he destroys every good thing that ever comes into his life. And he's super bitter and resentful about it. His childhood hero killed himself. Like, it's a lot.
Oh my god.
I was like, what the fuck am I watching? These are anthropomorphic animals dealing with severe depression.
Oh my god.
And then in the next scene, the character is a golden retriever named Mr. Peanut Butter who is trying to start a water park. I get emotional
I'm here for
whiplash.
Mr. Peanut Butter. Dude.
He's the best character. He's also BoJack's nemesis because he's so positive.
Oh gosh. He just doesn't have depression.
No, literally, he's the only well-adjusted character in the whole show, and his name is Mr. Peanut Butter.
I would be happy too if my name was Mr. Peanut Butter.
Every time he sees BoJack, he goes, BoJack Horseman, is this a crossover episode? Because he's also a washed-up sitcom star.
What?
It's a lot. But yeah, it's a really good show. You should watch it.
I'll keep that in mind when I'm scrolling on Netflix for a show.
It's good. But how has your week been? You just had finals, right?
Good, yeah, and we had to move back. I somehow fit my whole room into my car.
Really?
Yeah, Toyota Corolla.
Shout out, sponsor us.
Toyota, please sponsor us. I drive a Corolla. Yeah, I got everything into the car, so nobody had to drive up.
Oh, nice.
Which was fun. Like, I was able to just get home.
Yeah.
And without having to have a whole army come up and move back with me. So that was fun.
Did you move Adam out too?
I had to take some of his stuff. Pillows. I took all the pillows. Because Adam has 5 pillows for a dorm room. What?
It's a twin-sized mattress.
Yeah. It's the thin twin-sized mattress.
Does he line his bed with pillows?
Pretty
Sleep
much.
on top? He said no.
They're just piled up throughout everywhere.
He said no, America.
He said there was a specific layout. I don't know. They just look thrown on.
It's the architect in him.
Yeah.
He has draft plans.
It has to be exact. Yeah. Oh no.
The whole intro of this episode is just going to hear faint Adam
yelling.
It's kind of funny.
Talkative today.
Dude.
Oh no.
But that's good. Do you know how you did on your finals yet?
So far so good.
Nice.
So, keeping that up, I hope. I have to text my physics teacher he doesn't, I don't know, this man's pretty old, but he, like, won't go through our school site or anything, won't go through Moodle. And we get graded, like our homework is graded on an online thing, but our tests aren't. So there's nowhere to see the grades together.
Okay.
So he was just like, text me if you want your answer or come see me in my office hours. So I've just been texting this man like every month for,
Like,
the,
hello, I
past,
need my
for the
grades.
past semester. Like, hey, how's it going? Anyway, can I have my grade?
I
And then
absolutely love
his
that.
texts back are the best part because it is one letter. It's what your grade is. It's not like, hi, you made this. It's B. A. Like, that
oh
is
my
it.
goodness.
And you can scroll up in my phone to, like, see when I ask for grades. And it's my whole long text messages of, like, hi, this is Emily. Just wondering if I could have my grade for whatever. A. B. Yeah, like, it's so bad.
Old professors are my favorite because you never know what you're going to
but
get.
he's not a good.
Oh,
He's not great.
Rip.
He's what, like, the average on the final, get this, a 34.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That was the average?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I think I don't think anyone ever made above an F on any of the tests. Like, the average for every test was an F. You could make a 26 in the class and still be passing, I think is what the final, like, curve was. Like, it wasn't good. Nobody
I want all
learned.
of my classes to be, like, get a 26 or better.
I know it was great 'cause I didn't learn
Yeah.
any physics, but I did switch my major, so
was
I
about
don't
to
need
say.
physics anymore.
Doesn't matter.
I need biology because I'm majoring in
Biology.
biology. We've said it like 5 times. It's because I keep forgetting, though,
Yeah.
that I switched it because it literally took 2 minutes.
Right.
So I was like, oh, cool, that's done. I'll just keep living life.
Living like Larry.
No, but I'm
Living
excited.
like
We're done a year of college.
Yeah.
It went by. It's pretty fun, though.
So you're about to be a sophomore.
Already, yeah.
I'm going to be a senior.
Yeah, but then you got another one we were talking about.
I'm a fake senior.
Yeah.
And it's because I switched my major.
Adam's going to be a fake senior, but architects just go to school for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's why.
But at least he knows in advance. Because, like, that was part of my school plan was drafted out from day one. Like, I knew exactly what I was going to do to graduate in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I stocked up on a lot of my classes because I don't do well not being busy. So, like, in the beginning, I was taking 21-hour semesters, 18-hour semesters, purely to get, like, all of these gen eds out of the way.
Yeah.
And then I was taking all of my communications classes as well. So, like, I was breezing through my major. And when I decided to change it, it was a lot. Like, part of me was just tempted to continue and finish out because I had gotten so far.
I didn't get far, but I was already at that point. Like, I have to switch now or I won't switch later because I would have taken too many.
Right.
So I just jumped.
I did take too
I
many.
just went and was like, I'm switching right now.
Yeah.
Just went and bit the bullet.
But the advantage for me is, like, the way my school worked, like, I had to take loans for my first 2 years because living on campus was really expensive. But now that I'm not doing that, I get paid to go to school, and it's not from loans. Like, it's all grant returns. So all of that money goes straight into a bank account to pay for the last year of school out of pocket. So, like, I'm not going to have any loans, which is super cool.
That's neat.
Except for, like, it's like $8,000 or something. I'll have that paid off in a year if I do it right.
Just gotta stay on top of it, yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I wish I had changed my major sooner. I wish I had come in and just been a marketing major. But all of my friends were comm. And I was already familiar with the department. Because from high school, like, I knew all of these professors beforehand.
Yeah.
It
was like a safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt good, but marketing's a lot better.
What's the statistic that, like, 70% of people change major?
Yeah.
We're just bringing up the statistic.
Right.
Like, we're just doing work.
Right.
So.
And I like it. And I still got a comm minor. And I got to take all of the fun classes that I got to take. Every semester I took classes with professors who I really liked. I never had to go through comm law. I never started my thesis.
Ooh.
Like, I dodged bullets.
Yeah.
And then I got, like, film history, was so much fun. And like in one of my comm classes, the whole semester was built around this like gauntlet style thing where you came in the first week and he had you take a test, and that defined your placement in the class. And he went down the list and you got to pick a category. So it was either books, movies, TV, radio, PR, like one of those veins. There was a specific amount of slots per each category. And that was your only prompt. And you had to write a paper and a presentation on that.
So
like,
away.
Yeah. So some of the kids who did magazines did like the history of Playboy was one of them. That was super interesting. Someone analyzed Black families in sitcoms specifically as like a whole, it's like a mini thesis class. So I did my mini thesis on like color as visual storytelling. So I got to stand up there and talk about like the Wizard of Oz and shit. It was so fun. It was such a good class.
Very fun.
It was.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed my engineering class. Like, they were interesting, super cool stuff. And I was in robotics, so it was stuff that I liked. But I was like, it's cool right now, but to do it as a job.
Yeah.
When you start looking at that part of it, I was like, wait a second. I don't want to sign up for that for the rest of my life. I just think the other stuff would be funner.
My, one of my really good friends who we name dropped last episode and who was very excited that we name dropped her last episode, Miss Erin.
That's two already.
We know you're listening. Ooh. But Adam squawked for you. But she was really into marketing at my school. Like, she's older than me. She's already graduated. But she made her marketing classes sound like so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I have to be in this. And now, like, we used to work together, but she got a big girl job.
Ooh.
Working in marketing.
Ooh, congrats.
She's thriving. But it's like, the idea of working in marketing for me is a lot more appealing than the idea of having to hunt for a job with a communications degree.
Yeah.
Like, and plus all of the marketing stuff, I'm completely selfish. I'm just translating all of this over to our podcast. Like,
yeah, just bringing it.
No, literally. And I get to take some classes soon about like Adobe Illustrator, which I'm really excited for because I'm already certified in other softwares. I just want to go through and get certified in a bunch.
Yeah,
like, that'll look good
just
on a
those.
resume.
Yeah, just those certifications to be able to say that looks so good. Or like to be certified in a coding language or something gets you really far for no reason.
Right.
Like, it's like, I understand the basic principles of this, and somebody will hire you on the spot for that.
And that's the goal.
It really helps.
I can open most Adobe products. Most. Hire me.
I can sit there and figure out what a couple of the buttons do and then like do the project with that. So,
dude, though, seriously, on a
BS
very
the
real
learning
note,
curve.
Fuck Photoshop.
Yeah,
I don't get it at all.
I try so hard to learn Photoshop and Illustrator, just like sit there and figure out what the buttons do. And like, I watch videos and I don't know, it's just, it's a lot to take in at once. They're just hefty programs that you have to know what you're going in there to do.
And it's weird because like,
you definitely have to learn it in chunks, I think I try to take it all in, and I feel like that's my downfall every time. That if I just like did a specific project and learned a bunch with that, and then did a project focused on something completely different, I think that's the way to tackle those huge programs. But right now, Fire Alpaca, I'm just gonna stick with that. It's free.
I have formal training for like Premiere and an Audition was what I was trained in, what I'm certified in. Like, I took a test on those programs. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I am completely self-taught in After Effects. I open that program and contemplate, like, is this my 13th reason?
Is this it? Am I done?
It's like trying to make toast with a blender. Like, there is one way you could possibly do it. Good luck trying to find it.
Good luck.
But, like, I can make some cool shit. Like, but what baffles me is I can work After Effects, a program that makes zero sense, more than I can work something like Photoshop. Like, I made our Grim Grinning Ghosts ad in After Effects. Took forever. Did it.
Yeah, but it came out.
I tried to make
super
our podcast logos on Photoshop. Cried. And moved on to a different program.
Yeah. That's usually what happens with me is I start going in one of those and I'm like, and just shut it down and put it over in somewhere else and finish it up there.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It's just maybe I've never taken the time to sit down and do it.
I have friends who are really good at it.
Yeah.
But it's a thing.
So anyway, if you're certified in Illustrator or Photoshop, you're better than us.
No, just flat out. If you know how to open Photoshop, you are already doing better than me.
You've peaked.
No,
also,
literally.
as a human, if you can do magic in Photoshop, you can quit while you're ahead. Like, you're done.
No, literally.
You've reached it. That's it.
If there were tiers to the value of human life, the top would be
Photoshop.
I hate this. My whole TikTok page right now is nothing but Adobe slander.
I didn't know that was a part of TikTok.
Oh, no, it
I
is.
need to get on shaming Adobe TikTok.
Literally. It's like, if you don't pirate Adobe, you're doing something wrong. This is not an advocate for pirating Adobe. I paid for my Adobe subscription.
I'm piggybacking off my sisters.
You know what? Good for you.
You can have like 3 devices on it.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like the third device chilling in the corner.
Vibing.
Yeah.
Doing God's work.
Just out here like, hey.
Hello.
Hi, guys. I'm borrowing this real quick.
Cassidy gets it for free because she goes to Bama.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
I wish I got it for free.
We should have went to Bama.
No.
Nah. I just changed my mind.
She likes it, though. But she's also so much smarter than me.
I have friends that really like it there. I think it's a cool school.
Who do you know that goes to Bama?
Mason.
Oh, I didn't know he went to Bama.
Yeah. I said I knew people. That's like the only people, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I only know
No,
one.
I know somebody he knew that went, but I can't remember their name right now.
Oh, so they don't matter?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we should start.
I think it's time. I think we've padded the intro.
Hello, intro padding.
We never said. This is episode 7.
This is episode 7 of a podcast
called The Morbid and Mundane. Anyway, we should start.
Oh, yeah, we should start. Okay. So,
what do you have for me?
What I have for you, for the first time, is not something I think you've heard about.
Oh, no. What if it is? What if this is the first time I have heard of it?
And you went on a Wikipedia hole last night, so you know everything I'm about to say.
Oh, gosh.
But I don't think you know what I'm about to talk about. I didn't know what I was about to talk about until, like, it's one of the most haunted places in the world, and I didn't know about it at all.
Ooh.
So it's kind of fun. But are you familiar with Glamis Castle?
Yes. No, I'm not.
Oh my God, my heart dropped.
I wanted to see what you did when I said yes.
You're evil.
I knew you were going to ask, so I was like, I'm ready. This moment. My life is built up to this moment. So
faking me out like a fucking asshole. You have heard of it from these lines. Okay? I'm about to read you something.
Oh, wow.
All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis. All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. All hail Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter. So, it's in Macbeth. Macbeth is the Thane of Cawdor, though the historical Macbeth had nothing to do with this castle.
Oh, okay.
At all. So
just in the play.
Shakespeare just wrote fan fiction.
That's, yeah.
No, literally.
He was the, I don't even know what I was about to say. I totally lost my train of thought about Shakespeare.
So the first thing, though, I want to say, this is not a Western Civ class.
Okay.
This is a podcast.
I didn't know that. I think I'm in the wrong room.
Fuck you. But, so when I was taking my notes, the reason I had to, like, take a second to fix them at the end was because originally I just wrote all of these notes on the ghosts. Because this castle is very old and deeply haunted.
Fun.
By multiple different ghosts with multiple different stories, all of them better than the last.
Ooh.
But the history of it is also super interesting. Like, and usually what I would do is comb through the history and then comb through the ghosts. There's too much of both.
Oh.
So what I did was I have essentially the Spark Notes version of the history, and I put everything in chronological order. So I'm going to give you a few points about some history, some things happening at the time, and then I'm going to tell you a ghost story. And then it's going to be some more history and then another ghost story.
Okay.
Is kind of how I did
Just
it.
weave them together.
No, literally. I think it came out really well. Some of it's a little weird. I'm going to disclaimer, a lot of people have the same name.
Oh, no.
It's going to get real confusing at a certain point, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
So we're going to start in 1034. Old as fuck.
A while ago. A little bit.
So at this point, the castle is not a castle. It's a hunting lodge. Right. And King Malcolm II is murdered there. Yeah.
We're right into the...
No, straight.
This is really the SparkNotes version.
No, literally. He's murdered there. It's a hunting lodge at this point, so it's not an actual castle, but he's murdered on the site of what will be the castle. A few years later, Macbeth becomes King of Scotland. Macbeth had no actual connection to this castle. Shakespeare is the best fanfiction author of all time. That's the title of this episode.
There it is.
From there, Macbeth is deposed. Malcolm III becomes King of Scots. And the castle is taken back into the protection of the royal family.
Okay.
So now it's an actual castle.
Okay.
So there's a man who's granted thaneage. He's a thane from King Robert. His name is Sir John Lyon, and he becomes the Thane of Glamis. It's under his control, and from then on, it will never leave his family.
Okay.
The castle will only be passed down in the Lyon family, later the Lyon Bowes family, or Bowes-Lyon family, but it stays there. So, I'm going to skip those points because they're pointless, and now that I'm realizing it. That made no sense. It gets passed down like not passed down, but there's some drama over who has it for a little while. There's some quarrels. There's a little bit of murder, but it's not relevant.
Oh. You're just going to leave me with that.
But in the 1400s, the building of the castle that we know begins.
Okay.
So from then on, for the rest, I'm gonna point it out sometimes, but certain wings are added, buildings are built, chapels, things like that, to build the actual structure. So just over the course of this story, it just gets larger and larger. The building never really stops. But in 1445, Sir John's grandson, his name is Patrick, becomes the first lord of Glamis. So he had a thane before, there was some conflict. Now we have our first lord of Glamis. Patrick's son inherits it after he does, okay?
Okay.
This is our first ghost story.
Yay.
Yes. So Patrick passes it on to his son, Alexander. And there's some debate over if this story is actually Alexander or if it's a different guy who died way later. It has been cited as both of them.
Okay.
And they're both some fun little ghost stories, but I put it here for convenience sake. So the story is Earl Beardy, who people say is Alexander Lyon. He was supposedly a very evil and twisted man who had a drinking problem.
Okay.
Is his caricature. It was alleged once that he had a black servant stripped naked and forced to run around the grounds for his and other earls' entertainment. That entertainment was literally a hunt.
Jeez.
Like the most dangerous game style, where the earls hunted this man with their dogs. It was really fucked up.
Yeah.
But the legend goes that the earl was visiting or was at the castle one Sunday night, and he, in a drunken rage, demanded that someone play cards with him. Nobody wanted to because it was the Sabbath. And he raged that he was so mad and he wanted to play so bad that he would play with the devil himself.
Cute.
Shortly after that, there was a knock at the door.
About to tell me the devil walks in?
No, literally, that's what I'm about to tell you.
Oh my god.
A tall gentleman in a long, dark coat showed up and offered to play cards with him.
Fun?
No, yeah.
I mean, at least he's punctual. He's like...
When I was reading this, like, I'm telling you, this castle checks all the boxes. And the first box that's checked is a playing card game with the devil. Like, it only gets better.
Come out the door swinging.
No, literally. So the two men retire to a room. Door slams shut, and there's a mess of shouting and swearing that can be heard from the other side.
Swouting, as
Swouting
you originally said.
And sharing.
Sharing? Oh, that's cute.
They're sharing something. One of the servants actually, like, supposedly, like, looked through the keyhole and went blind in that eye.
Aw.
Poor guy. He just wanted to know who won.
Yeah, he was just curious.
But the mysterious man is reported to have been the devil, and he won the Earl's soul in that game of cards and condemned him to play cards until doomsday, is how the story goes. And
that's a lot of card games. He's got to be pretty good.
Literally for eternity.
He's got to be good. Where do I go to play him?
It was... It's the Poker World Championships. But he was being punished for he played cards on the Sabbath, is what happened. But from then on, his ghost supposedly haunts the castle. So they can still hear shouting and stomping feet and banging doors and swearing that all reportedly come from his wing of the castle, the supposed site of this alleged card game. And there's also been reports of people, like, actually have seen him. Some people claim to have, like, touched his ghost. And some nights he can be heard behind doors shouting, and rattling dice is the other thing that people attribute to him. And there have also been reports of children waking in the middle of the night to see him standing there staring at him.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he's seen everywhere. He's a very popular ghost. And... yeah, that's Earl Beardy was his name. Yes.
Also Alexander.
Yes, also Alexander.
I got it.
So Patrick's son, Alexander, he passes Glamis on to Alexander. Alexander dies. And so then it goes on to his second son. His second son is John Lyon. If you remember, that's his father's name. So John Lyon, Patrick, Alexander, John Lyon.
Another one.
John Lyon becomes the third Lord of Glamis. It is important to note that from this point on, every person is named John Lyon.
What? Do they have numbers?
Yep.
Okay.
It's John Lyon, 6th Lord of Glamis. John Lyon, 7th Lord. They are all named John Lyon. They are all
so
fathers
bad.
and sons. No, I cried when I'm not even joking, I teared up. I had to stop because I was going through these Wikipedia holes and I was like, is that John number 4 or John number 6? Like,
Dude, I'd have to, like, draw out a table and be like, all right.
I got
so
really
John,
close.
All right, this John goes to this John, and this John passes it to this John, who's the third John but the fourth Lord.
Yeah.
Because I noticed it's off a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, disgusting.
No, it's so bad, dude. I can't emphasize it enough. Hate it so much. But I'm not joking. Like, every character's name is John.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna try, and I made notes to keep, like, which number they are. And I did it by Lord, like, which Lord they are, instead of the father and son shebang. But John Lyon, the son of John Lyon, becomes the fourth Lord of Glamis. He gives it to his son, George, who dies, so it goes to his second son, John Lyon.
Aw, George would have saved us.
John Lyon, I hate it so much.
No, just keep going.
He takes the title. He is now number 6. He's the 6th Lord of Glamis, and he marries a woman named Janet, who becomes Lady Glamis.
That's such a fun name.
Literally.
Janet Glamis.
Janet, Lady Glamis. John number 6 dies in 1528. So when he dies, his wife immediately is accused of poisoning him.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because the case was dropped. Like, there was no evidence. They just assumed she did it. So because the case was dropped, she was allowed to remarry. But 10 years later, she was convicted of trying to poison the king with her brothers. Like, there was this whole underground conspiracy that they were trying to overthrow the king. And her brothers were actually involved in some conspiracies to overthrow the king. But she was accused...
Janet just got roped in.
Yeah. She was accused of trying to poison him. So she... Like, these accusations were false. Like, she obviously wasn't trying to poison the King of Scotland. But she was imprisoned, and they tortured her and her family and her servants to gain evidence.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a whole messy shebang, but she was convicted, and she was burned at the stake.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was another little murder. Her son, John Lyon, was a child at this point and had to watch his mom be burned at the stake.
Oh, no.
Yes. And that is ghost story number 2.
The kid or Janet?
Janet.
Okay.
She's called the Gray Lady. People see her all the time. Like, a lot. She haunts Glamis Castle. Specifically, the chapel and the clock tower are where people see her the most. But it's the same shebang of, like, a woman walking through walls, standing over you while you sleep. They'll hear footsteps and crying.
Was there any
sometimes.
reason for, like, why the chapel and clock tower?
No.
Or is that just where she hung out, maybe?
I guess.
Yeah.
But I think actually, so the chapel was being built during this time.
Okay.
And it was finished pretty soon after. So it might have just been that. I don't know. But specifically, there's multiple stories of a woman walking into the chapel and walking, like, through the wall.
Scary.
A lot. But she's called the Gray Lady.
Okay.
People see her all the time. So, from there, King James V takes the castle and hoards it until he dies. So it's not long, but it's his.
Yeah, he just keeps it.
But it was immediately returned to the Lyons upon his death. He just, like, stayed there until he died. It was super weird.
Like a vacation.
I guess.
Yeah.
But it was restored to John VII, John Lyon, Lord of Glamis, and this is the John who watched his mom be burned.
Okay.
So, John.
He gets it back.
Yes. The castle goes through, like, a few more hand changes, a few more fathers and sons. Mary Queen of Scots visits at some point. It's a whole thing. But...
It's just a fun little castle everyone likes to visit.
No, literally. It's super famous. During the Commonwealth of England, Scotland, and Ireland, soldiers were garrisoned there for a while. But...
Why are soldiers always, like,
right?
hang out in, like, super haunted places? Because did you know that soldiers were kept in the Biltmore?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's why the second story of the Biltmore is haunted.
Whoa. Was that the hotel where the second story was turned into offices because it was so haunted?
Yeah.
Yo, I want to go to the Biltmore.
Anyway, we'll talk about the Biltmore in another episode because I love the Biltmore.
Dude, I saw that TikTok trend right now where it's like, what's something that people still think is a mystery but has basically been solved. That trend, I don't know if it's all over your For You page.
No, I've seen it.
But, like, the one where they talked about how the Black Dahlia was essentially solved and no one talks about it.
Yeah.
Like,
people just like that it's a mystery.
Right. But, like, it really baffles me because...
It's like how when I talked about date love, it was fun to go through the conspiracies, but there's so many physics engines have now solved, we can say pretty much solved. You'll never really know what happened, but so many of those, like, older mysteries have, with new technology, have had more real-life explanations for them. Yeah. And while it's fun to believe that the Yeti did it, he did it, but, like... We'll say the physics engines are right just so the physicists don't get mad. you know?
The Dahlia specifically, like, that story, I don't know if it's just because I was obsessed with American Horror Story, and the Black Dahlia, like, gets an episode, and it's a whole shebang where they link her story in to American Horror Story. But ever since then, like, that mystery specifically has, like, had me.
Yeah.
But it feels so weirdly romanticized.
It is. No, I totally agree with. It's like how there's so many movies made after Eliza Lamb.
Yeah,
There's
why?
like 4 or 5 movies now based off that same case, and countless like crime shows
Yeah.
cover a case like Eliza Lamb. And it's not like romanticized, I guess is a weird word to use, but it's so like pulled on.
Yeah.
And it's a very strange case, but it's so weird to like make movies after a real thing that somebody was murdered,
yeah.
and to like spin it into entertainment is
Right.
always, it's a weird
But,
line.
yeah. So the castle goes through a few more hands changes, whatever. Soldiers are garrisoned there. When that's all done, Patrick, the third Earl. So at some point, it also goes from being a lord of the castle to being an earl of an area. Like, I cut out most of the history
Okay.
that goes with it. It was a whole lot of hand changes. It was a whole lot of complicated nonsense. They're earls now instead of lords.
Fun.
But the third earl came back to the castle. It was essentially unlivable. So major renovations carried on for like the next 20 years.
Okay. Like crazy unlivable.
Yeah. So following that, the chapel's completed. Some more earls die. There's another John Lyon. Actually, there's a lot more John Lyons. But we're going to fast forward all the way to 1767. John, the ninth Earl, marries Mary Eleanor Bowes. And
Okay.
this is when the family name is changed. So this is when it goes from Leon to Bowes Lyon.
Okay.
She is the heiress of a coal mining fortune, and they also begin to renovate the castle even further, making it super grand. It's a whole thing. They add an entire new wing. They add another kitchen, a billiards room, and they build an entire village to relocate estates workers.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
It just sounded like I said cheese. Because I
from
yawned.
from there, Earl number 10, that was Earl number 9, this is Earl number 10, he dies. And his illegitimate son is denied earldom. He can't
Oh.
be the Earl.
Okay.
So it goes on to his Uncle Thomas, who becomes, so it's Earl's brother,
Okay.
gets it, not his son. He becomes the 11th Earl. This is our third and by far the most famous ghost story.
Okay.
When you Google this castle, it auto fills in to this ghost story because that's how big of a story this is. I am going to go through the rest of the timeline first, though. I just need you to remember this moment. I'm going to come back. I'll remind you in a minute. But this is when that happens.
All right.
Supposedly.
Okay.
Allegedly.
It's a story.
But the rest of the timeline's super short. A museum is built by the John Bowes Foundation, and his wife Josephine. Neither of them lived to see it completed. The East Wing is completed in 1891. In 1900, Lady Elizabeth Bowes Lyon, the youngest daughter of the Lord of Glamis, is born, a.k.a. the Queen Mother, a.k.a. Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh.
Yeah. So she spends most of her childhood here, especially when it's used during the First World War as a military hospital. She's actually like attributed to, there's some really cool history about her at this castle during World War I, but I had to cut it.
Aw. That's okay.
But it gets passed down to some more earls. Lady Elizabeth frequently stays there. She marries Prince Albert in 1923, becomes the Duchess of York. Princess Margaret is born at Glamis in 1930. In 1950, it's opened to the public for the first time. And in 1996, they reconstruct an ornamental bridge at Glamis, and it's named the Earl Michael Bridge after Earl number 18.
Oh, jeez.
And there was an exhibit in 2017 about it was commemorating the 90th anniversary of the coronation of King George VI. It was a whole big thing. But that's our timeline, essentially. Like, this is a very, very, very historical building. And it has a lot of ties with a lot of politics in England at the time. It was a whole thing. But this isn't a Western Civ class.
Dang.
This is a podcast about ghosts.
It is.
So I'm going to tell you some more about some fucking
excited.
ghosts.
I'm excited about this ghost.
Dude, the ghosts in this, they all have titles. Like, it's super dramatic.
It's like the Stanley. It was reminding me of that because the ghosts in the Stanley Hotel all have like titles and weird names.
It reminds me of Don't Starve. Like, the bereaved. The, like, why?
Charlie.
Dude, Charlie. The drama. But, so I've already told you about the Earl who played cards with the devil and lost. He's everywhere. The Grey Lady, also everywhere.
That was another thing that caught me. You said both of those ghosts are seen a lot, and then you prefaced this last guy you're about to say that he has seen the most, and the other two were already frequenters.
I'm saving him for last. There's a few more too in between him. Like, it's a lot. But so there is the Hangman's Chambers is a thing. It's very rarely used these days, but it's supposedly haunted by the ghost of a butler who hung himself there. People see him frequently. They'll talk about the uniform, a man disappearing into walls. There's also the spirit of an African servant boy. He has been witnessed to specifically sitting on the stone seat by the door of the Queen's bedroom on several occasions. He's thought to be the ghost of a servant who was treated not well at Glamis in the middle of the 18th century. He's reported to trip people.
Oh, he's a little trickster.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Like, he'll supposedly, like, trip people, and people who have slept in there supposedly, like, will feel their clothes being pulled off and, like, sheets being pulled off. Like, he just wants to fuck with you. But that bedroom has since been converted into a bathroom, so people don't sleep there anymore, unfortunately. But there's another one. Another big one is the tongueless woman.
Oh.
Yeah. She is a spirit of a ghost of a woman with no tongue.
Could have guessed that.
Yeah. Specifically, she runs around the grounds, like, holding her mouth because blood is still coming out of her mouth.
Ooh.
She's also called the weeping woman because most of the time you hear her crying and screaming. Like, it's a lot. She has also been seen looking outside of windows. Like, you can see her from the outside of the castle looking at you. The story goes that a serving maid stumbled upon a terrible secret known only to the Earl. And when she threatened to expose it, the Earl ordered guards to cut out her tongue and then kill her. And she's seen everywhere. It's her and the Grey Lady. They're often mistaken for each other, but you can tell which one is which based on whether or not she has a tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she's
That's
bleeding profusely
key
at the
difference.
mouth, it's probably not the Grey Lady.
It's probably the one without a tongue.
Now, finally,
our big guy.
The Monster of Glamis is what it's called.
Oh, so that's a scary title.
No, literally. If you search Glamis Castle, it autofills to, like, who is the Monster of Glamis? The Monster of Glamis. Like, it's a thing. So once, Claude Bose-Lyon wrote, quote, "If you could guess the nature of this castle's secret, you would get down on your knees and thank God it was not yours."
Jeez, that's heavy.
It's some heavy shit, brother. So the Glamis family the castle was within the same family, but by the 18th century, it was not empty, like, it was still owned and still lived in occasionally, but owners often would prefer to leave and stay other places. In the family's absence, Glamis was left in someone's care. And it was then that a young Walter Scott, in 1790, he applied to spend a night in one of the rooms. And then he became one of the first of several writers who talk about how the castle feels. The vibes, if you will.
Of the castle.
He's quoted writing in 1830, "I must own, as I heard door after door shut, I began to consider myself as too far away from the living and somewhat too near to the dead."
Creepy.
Right? He was hearing like doors opening and closing, footsteps, laughter, like the whole 9 yards. Crying was another one, the weeping woman. A great novelist also reported that it was said to hide a secret room. Within the century of his writings, the rumor began to circulate that there was a hidden wing of the castle, and specifically that it held a prisoner that had been there for his whole life. By the 1840s, the reports claimed that the chamber concealed a monster who was the rightful heir of the title and property, but who was so unpresentable that it was, quote, necessary to keep him out of sight and out of possession. So it's generally believed that this monster was a member of the family that was born terribly disfigured, and rather than killed, they locked him away in like a boarded up wing of the castle.
Ooh.
Yeah. So various researchers insist that it was the Thomas's son, also named Thomas.
Okay.
So remember, he had an illegitimate son. He wanted that his illegitimate son wanted to be, or no. Sorry. He was given, Thomas was the uncle of the illegitimate son who was given earldom instead of the illegitimate son.
Yes.
He supposedly had a son that no one knew about. So Thomas, Lord of Glamis, and his wife, they're the great-great-grandparents of the queen. Official records show that a child was born, but it showed that the child was died the same day.
Okay.
Others say that this wasn't the case. He did in fact live. He did in fact survive. He was just born disfigured. So by the second half of the 19th century, it was reported that the child had been born so horribly twisted that he could never be allowed into the public, let alone to inherit a title as like wide and grand as Earl, even if he was legitimate. So some accounts, it's really sad. People call him the human toad or flabby egg. Yeah, I don't know where that one came from.
Yeah, that just...
But most often he's called the monster. So a detailed description came out in the 1960s. James Wentworth Day spent time at Glamis while writing the history of the family, and from the earls and his relatives, he heard that the monster was, quote, a creature so fearful to behold, a deformed caricature of humanity. His chest was an enormous barrel, hairy as a doormat. His head ran straight into his shoulders, and his arms and legs were toy-like. However warped and twisted his body, the child had to be reared to manhood, kept safe, and occasionally exercised on the castle parapets out of sight. So this job was it's essentially taking him for a walk.
Yeah.
Like the job was given to whoever was caring for the castle at the time. The monster's suite of rooms was said to be bricked up after his death. And so therefore he's said to haunt the place. Specifically, there was one story that guests staying in the castle once hung towels over every window in every room and then went outside, and there was a bunch of windows left uncovered. So they couldn't get to them.
Yeah.
So phantom rooms and the whole 9 yards. People have also seen him in not my instinct is to say seen him in the windows, but I mean almost like a person, not a ghost, not a turn around and look away and he's not there anymore, thought that they saw somebody in the windows.
That's creepy.
And then I also I didn't pull it up because I'm a dumbass, but I want to read you something about him one more. So the other part of the mystery is the alternative version of the legend is that every generation, a vampire is born and is walled up. And that's why people continue to see the monster of Glamis. It's not actually a ghost. It's every generation this deformed vampire child is born and is locked away.
That's crazy sounding.
It's a lot. There's also a haunted cup.
Oh,
yeah.
Fun.
I wanted to take a sharp left turn. So there's a haunted cup. It's called the Lion's Cup. In the timeline, actually, there's multiple people who have supposedly drank from it and visited like the castle, drank from the cup, and then died.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's in the shape of a lion, and it holds nearly a whole bottle of wine.
It's a big cup.
It's a fucking goblet. And so there's a shadowy tradition that the cup has been, like, it brings bad luck, and no one knows where the cup came from. And no one knows why it has this reputation.
It just showed up.
No, literally. It showed up, and supposedly it kills people.
Fun.
There's also a stream that's supposedly haunted. It's called the River Dean. It's more like a creek than a stream, but people call it, like, the name translates to doleful or sinister. A popular rhyme once said that this stream took one life a year. Was the thing. And then, like, one other version was it took a year off. It would kill someone, take a break, kill someone, take a break.
His schedule.
Yeah. And then the third was that it only killed someone once every 7 years. But supposedly there's a rumor about this stream killing people
on a certain
with a time
schedule.
frame.
Yeah.
There's also a haunted chamber. I did put it in. I didn't remember.
Oh no.
The legend dates back to 1486. Members of a clan sought shelter from Lord Glamis, from
enemies.
Yes, they were seeking shelter from their enemies, and they come to Lord Glamis asking for shelter. Is what happened. The enemies were in pursuit, and then Glamis lets them into the castle and hides them away in a chamber. But what they didn't realize was that they were actually friends.
Oh,
Glamis, the Lord of Glamis was friends with the Lindsay clan, and they locked the guys in the chamber and left them to die without food or drink.
Okay.
After a few years, the Earl was disturbed by noise. Another Earl was disturbed by noises coming from a wall, and they broke in to see what the cause was, and inside was a pile of skeletons.
Scary.
Yeah, which lay twisted and contorted, in starvation. Some were even thought to have died in the act of eating their relatives.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Even today, that chamber has a strong sense of unease, but it's just a legend. It wasn't an actual fact. But there's a variety of ghosts that appear in the windows. A bent woman carries a bundle to the middle of the courtyard at night and disappears. There's screaming sounds from empty rooms, hammering noises in the middle of the night. A female guest once woke to the sound of the hammering, and when she mentioned it at breakfast, they told her to never speak of it again.
Oh.
So there's some weird shit going on in that castle still.
I want to go.
Bet. Let's go to Scotland.
Let's fly to Scotland right now.
But there's like 7 or 8 really big ghosts that are just
so
constantly
cool.
seen. And they're all
scary,
very sad stories.
When are ghost stories not, though?
I feel like there's got to be at least one fun one. And you know what? It's my mission now to find it.
I thought you were going to say it's my mission to be the fun one. I'm the fun ghost story.
Yet, I'm the fun ghost story. You bet your sweet ass I am.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's the Glamis Castle.
That's so interesting. It reminds me of like a different castle that I've read about, and I don't remember the name of the castle right now. But it had a lot of it was by a creek that was also a haunted creek. So it reminded me of that, and I totally am blanking on the name now.
Glamis Castle.
What if it was, though? What if I've just totally known all of this and forgot it just in time
literally.
to know?
It was cool, though. I liked this one because there were so many stories with it.
And a lot of history that, like, backs it up almost.
Yeah, but it's like the story, like, we have a man who played cards with the devil, a woman who was burned at the stake, someone who got their tongue cut out, cannibalism, a vampire child, ? Like,
haunted, like, fake rooms.
Right. Usually...
It hits everywhere. You said it. It checks all the boxes.
No, literally. Usually when you get a haunted building, you'll get one really big ghost story, maybe
and,
two.
like, sprinkled in little ones.
Right. Supposedly they'll be seeing this person or this person. But the fact that this castle was not only, like, where members of the royal family were born, but that you can trace... Okay, so, like, when I was...
Where they come from.
Right. When I was looking it up, at first I was going to tell you just the ghost stories. I was going to sit here. I was going to tell you about the Earl and the Lady Grey and all that jazz. And then I got to looking into the history, and I was like, wait a second. These were real people. Like, this... It isn't like the Goatman's Bridge, where there was no record
There's no records of the people.
There were records of these people. These people have names, and I can tell you... Lady Grey was burned at the stake, and people still see her, like, alive and well. Or I say alive and well, like looking alive and well, and then they realize real quick that she's a fucking ghost and she's walking through walls and shit. It's a lot. I liked the drama of it all.
That was a really good one. I enjoyed it.
Adam, do you need an intermission?
Yeah.
I also have to pee.
Okay. Pee break.
And intermission. Hello.
Hi.
And we're back.
Are we back? Is he ready? Okay.
And we're back. I'm leaving them both in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would like that
Our
very much.
intermission was wild from start to finish.
Yeah, it was much longer for us than it will be for you.
Yeah.
Unless we leave in an hour of just elevator music.
No. Oh, wait, that would be so funny.
It would, but I
what
feel
if
like
we release an episode of just elevator music?
Don't say
April
that.
Fools.
Don't say that. Yeah.
Punked.
We start and we're like, and intermission.
That would be very funny.
Write that
day.
down. Write that down.
Write it down.
All right. So what I have for you today. Are we jumping right back into it?
Yeah, what do you have for me today?
Never mind. I'm not. I'm going home. See
Oh,
ya.
you know, I'm actually kind of tired.
Yeah, not
So-
feeling it today.
I think we should just put a pin in it.
No. Anyway.
I hate us.
I have for you today one of the most successful serial killers ever.
Oh, that's a title.
Do you have any guesses?
Successful? What do we define as success? Like getting away with it?
No, like killing people. Do you want to know?
Like numbers.
Do you want to know their number?
Yeah.
600 people.
H.H.
Roundabout.
Holmes?
No.
Really? How many people did H.H. Holmes kill?
I don't know. I said maybe one of them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I didn't go on the leaderboard of serial killers. I just saw 600 and was like, that's a lot of people.
Do I know this serial killer?
I don't know.
Okay, tell me.
Giulia Tofana.
No, who the fuck is that?
Okay. Well, she was born in 1630 in Italy.
Okay.
So, like, Renaissance.
600 people in Italy?
Yeah, a lot of people in Italy. Just
That's like half of Italy.
like in Rome, like that's like half of Italy. No, yeah, it's a lot of people.
Holy
especially
shit.
in Italy. Yeah, no. We're going through backstory first, and
Okay,
then we'll
yeah,
get
sorry.
into.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're good. But I'm just laying out. We're gonna go through a little bit of it. There's not much on her
Okay.
because it was in. She got away with it for a while with the 600 people thing.
No, yeah.
But also in 1620, I think I said 1630, it's 1620 in Italy. Just not much records kept on her or
Okay.
anybody in this time. But when she was about 13, her mother was executed for murdering her father.
Okay.
So, like,
Runs
the
in
mother's
family.
husband. Yes, the mom killed the dad, pretty much.
As is her God-given right.
So,
He probably deserved it.
yeah, but the mom was executed. So, like, the daughter saw her mom executed after her dad was murdered by the
her
mom. She spent a lot of time in apothecaries.
Okay.
And she eventually developed a poison. It's kind of getting into her count. And I liked the name of the poison. It was called Aqua Tofana, which sounds magical.
That sounds like a candy.
Yeah, that sounds like something really yummy.
Aqua Tofana. It also low-key sounds like a cocktail.
It sounds nice. It sounds nice, whatever it is. A poison.
But it's not that because it's poison.
And it was disguised as a makeup or a healing ointment. It was disguised as both. It kind of transformed through time into what it was, but it's always went under the name, or at least from records, seemed to be always under the name Aqua Tofana.
Okay, cool.
Through her.
It sounds like a drag queen name.
That too. It just sounds whimsical, and I love it.
Whimsical.
Yeah. It's believed to be laced with arsenic, lead, and belladonna.
Okay.
And I didn't know what belladonna was, but during that time, belladonna was used to dilate the pupils to make them more appealing. I didn't know that, but it's just like a...
I think there's a song lyric that has the word belladonna in it.
It's in a Billie Eilish song.
What's the lyric?
Something. Been talking to you, belladonna. Been
Oh,
taking
wait.
a break, not an Oxford gum. Yeah.
Wait,
We're going to get a copyright strike. We can't do any
we're
more
gonna
than
get
that.
a copy strike. But I also think that there's a different lyric.
Oh,
I
I
can
don't
like
know.
hear it in my head. It's like belladonna child.
But it's like
or
an
something.
arsenic kind of thing. But I thought that was so
Wait,
weird.
so is belladonna bad? Or it just dilates your eyes?
No, too much of it's bad.
Oh, okay.
But they would do a little bit and it like dilate your pupil. It's like arsenic or lead. It's like too much of it. You know, there's arsenic in like apple seeds or whatever, but too much of it's poisonous.
Gotcha.
But small amounts are fine. But I thought that was so weird that dilating your pupils was used as like a form to make your, like how we have makeup.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we're using drugs to make our eyes look bigger.
But isn't that a thing? Is like when you're in love, your pupils dilate?
Yeah, and it's like so
Makes you more
you're instinctually, it makes people more attracted to you.
whack.
So weird that they just figured that out. Whether they knew the science behind it or not is weird that they knew to
did it.
attribute that to
Yeah.
attractiveness.
I hate that.
That's weird. I don't like that. So this was back in the Renaissance, and at that time, as you know, divorce is unheard of, right? And marriages aren't the best. Like, women are still not treated as equals in society, you know? It's still a time of women could do stuff, for sure, but it's still a lot of marriages were not the best. Men were controlling. Women were stuck in these marriages and stuff like that.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no. Women were often stuck in abusive, controlling relationships until they died. Like, there was no... You couldn't do anything. Divorce with the church, you didn't even think of that at this time.
Not even an option.
Once they were married, they were the property of their husbands.
Bullshit.
And anything they, like, all aspects of their life are still under the control of men at this time. So, like, you're either under the control of your father, and then you're married off and under the control of your husband. So your entire life, you're stuck under the control of somebody else as a woman during this time.
Bullshit. Hate that.
I totally lost where I was. Oh, okay. So our lovely Ladia.
That sounds like labia.
It does, but I was reading Tofana
Oh.
when I did it. Our lovely lady, Giulia Tofana, she capitalized on this like the business woman she is.
Good.
So
I already love it.
She took the loveless marriages and she fixed it by, you guessed it, murder.
Jazz hands. Ta-da!
So there's no portraits of her.
Okay.
Going back to there's no records of, not no records, but there's very little records of Giulia Tofana as a person. And when you Google her, an image is going to pop up of a portrait that was mistaken to be her, but it was somebody else around the same time that got confused, like a similar name. But from reports, she was described, or not reports, but the little records we do have was said to be very beautiful, very young looking, you know, very sweet girl. Just sound like a a nice person, but she was also very good at what she did with the apothecaries. She made medicine, potions, makeup, perfumes, and drugs.
Sounds like my kind of store.
Yeah, no.
It checks every
A
box for
Renaissance
me.
apothecary sounds crazy. You walk in there and buy arsenic makeup, and that's the makeup.
And that's the makeup.
They were
now,
selling
what about
medicine.
the drugs?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Some people believe that she made up Aqua Tofana, like she made the concoction after working in the apothecaries, kind of learned a lot about what they did and how stuff worked. And other people believe that her mother was actually the original creator of it and like passed the recipe on to her, because obviously her mother was a little off her rocker too. And like murdered her husband kind of thing. But like I couldn't find anything of how she murdered the husband, so if the husband was poisoned, that's that's not a hard jump to make. Yeah. And then that's interesting because Giulia Tofana passed it on to her daughter. So it could have been like a family pass it on to the...
Imagine waking up one morning, coming of age, and
your
your
16th birthday.
Your 16th birthday, your sweet 16. And inside that beautifully decorated pink cake, it's a poison recipe.
Just written out nicely.
Imagine that's your family legacy.
Is poison.
That's bad shit, dude. That's bad shit.
And then the daughter had a different last name, and it's Spera, Spera.
Okay.
Spera. I don't know how to say it, but there is somebody else with the same last name that was in a different area, but at a similar time was also poisoning people. But same last name, so they're often confused. Giulia Tofana, the daughter.
Are confirmed different people?
From what I could find, they are confirmed different people in different areas with different poisoning things going on.
Weird.
But I could find even less about the other person, so maybe it is just like a mishap with records, but they had like records from other areas is the only thing.
Whack.
The liquid was supposedly clear and could kill people in 4 to 6 doses. And we could go into the doses like of what each stage would do a little bit later. But it was contained in a little vial, so like a little bit of perfume and like or healing oil, depending on which record. And some records said it was both, like it was originally a perfume and then a healing oil. And it was marketed as such just in the apothecary, but to anyone walking through that she wasn't going to try and sell it to. But when people would walk in that she could tell was in these loveless marriages, she'd pull them aside and be like, hey, check this out. This is actually this. I've disguised it as this so you can hide it in plain sight.
Yo, so she was like marketing murder.
Like capitalized on the fact that they were stuck in these marriages and be like, look, you don't even have to cover it up.
Welcome to the Morbid and the Mundane, where today we're talking about marketing murder.
How to sell murder.
Literally, that's fucking insane.
Isn't that so cool, though?
A little bit.
It's cool, but it's also terrifying.
But it's like, it's that vein of country music where it's all just like, I murdered my husband. I vibe with it.
She eventually like grew it to where she had helpers, but it was only like 2 other people and her daughter, so like 3 people in total.
That it was more than one.
She like had this business.
This was
locked.
an industry on how to kill your husband.
She saw a problem and she fixed it. That's innovation.
I feel like it's wrong that I'm advocating for what this woman did.
No,
but
it's
I'm
so
behind
bad,
it.
but it's so crazy that someone was this like smart to see that issue and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna get away with it and I'm gonna have helpers and I'm gonna kill over 600 people with a perfume. That's some like bravery. Like I don't know what to call it. That it's
innovation.
Is it stupidity or is it bravery? It's like crazy intelligence to the point of ignorance. It's so weird.
Dude, I'm into it.
Some records say it was manna, so like a religious healing oil, not like a medicine, but like something for religion.
Okay.
Which I just thought was interesting that it could even go into that way of like religious people using it as a way to so you didn't have, if you weren't a person who used makeup, but you were a religious person, buy this Aqua Tofana.
Yeah.
She was smart.
It was a literal industry.
She sympathized with the low class and would sometimes even just give it out, like to get, it was publicity also for her. It was like free samples pretty much. Be like, you know, I'll give this to you, tell your friends, you know.
Yeah.
But she also reportedly sympathized with people from being low class and growing up, seeing that like her mother stuck in that to the point where she murdered her husband.
This is the Robin Hood of murder.
Yes. It's a cool story.
No, like I'm behind it.
I'm here for it. In that society, Aqua Tofana could be seen as like the only escape route for women in these marriages. It was probably like a relief for some women to know that something was out there too.
Yeah.
Like,
so at least they like wanted the option. They
like,
could.
Yeah, they had, and like maybe they didn't go with it, but like knew somebody who did go through with it and be like, you know, if this does get bad enough, I have an out finally, which is just a weird way to think about that. But some of these women were stuck in some pretty terrible
situations,
marriages with no way to advocate for themselves.
Right.
And murder is not the way to advocate for yourself now. But then it's like, what do you do? I'm not saying they should have murdered people. But really, psychologically, on them, they are stuck in some terrible situations.
A cornered animal is gonna attack.
Yeah, it's
You have to protect yourself at some point, and especially if there's like kids involved.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do when your husband turns his hand on your daughter for the first time instead of you?
Yeah. It's
you have to protect.
You have nothing without this poison. Divorce was unheard of. This was a way to get away with murder without getting caught.
Right.
It's a weird thing to think about, but it's like, these women were stuck in some awful situations. So it's cool to see how instincts developed into such an elaborate scheme around it.
Yeah.
It's cool. The poison itself had a very slow onset, and like I said, it took a couple of doses for it to work. It was almost impossible to detect, though, because it mimics death by a disease.
Oh.
So, and it's the Renaissance, so
everybody's dying.
Everybody's dying of diseases, and they have, we talked about not last time, but a couple episodes ago with, like, the grave robbers.
Yeah.
That
the best
at that
episode
time
we've ever created.
At that
episode
time,
5 was our peak, and it's downhill from here.
At that time, even then, in like the 1700s, they still couldn't get bodies because of the religious holds against it. So they didn't understand the bodies very much at all during this time. It was, you couldn't investigate into a dead corpse. You couldn't do an autopsy. It was, he was coughing before he died. Must have been the cold. Like, that's literally as far as it went. So since it mimicked disease-like symptoms, you wouldn't have thought poison. Yeah. It was very slow onset, so it seemed like a slow progressing sickness.
Love that.
Which is brilliant.
For her. She's so smart.
Giulia Tofana also gave walkthroughs to the women on how to use it and what they should do after, including how to cry, when to act in grief, who to act in grief around, what to say. She would tell them to demand the coroner to examine the body, again, because she had full confidence that it would look like a disease.
I'm absolutely
so they would write it down as
awestruck.
She thought of everything.
Flabbergasted. I can't, in good confidence, say what I want to say. That is brilliant. She's literally like making an industry out of this.
And
that's insane.
She literally told him, I thought that was insane, that she was like, tell the coroner to examine it, because then they'll write it down as cause of death. Right. Disease. Then they can't, that's it.
There's the record of it.
There's the record. Trail. You can't, what are they going to do with that? It says the guy in charge of saying what dead bodies died from said it's disease. Y'all can't touch me. Which is crazy insane.
The fact that they were like literally, I'm going to give you a step-by-step on, first of all, I'm going to give you a product to kill your husband. Then I'm going to tell you exactly how to use it. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say, exactly who to talk to, brilliant.
That's insane. Also, a plus side, since it was slow, like a slow onset, men often had time to write wills and stuff before they died. So stuff could be made out to the wife or children. So it gave them time to, like, get life in order.
To die.
Yeah, it gave it in time to not be to even more set in like it was a disease, because they felt the sickness coming on. So they wrote out a will like, I'm sick. The coroner says, I'm sick. I died from being sick. So brilliant.
No, it checks every box.
Also, at this time, they're really religious. Some men used the slow death as a time to repent for sins, so they were often kinder in this. Some men didn't get the full doses of poison because they turned them into better people. Like, they only got 3 of the 4 doses. So some men wouldn't even get poisoned all the way. It gave them enough time to, like, get themselves in order and turn into better people.
Which is insane.
Because of the religious part of it, they would repent for their sins pretty much.
You should repent.
It was easy to mix into drinks because it was just a clear liquid. And it was also tasteless and odorless.
Dude.
So
it's everything. It's everything that it needed to be. And
who
we also
tasted
got
it
a WikiHow
to know
video.
it was tasteless?
Her. Definitely. At least once.
And then got sick and she's like, this is it.
Or maybe her mom did it.
Yeah, fair enough. If it was passed down,
She had to have tested. And if it doesn't kill you instantly.
Yeah, no. How did they know how many it would take to kill? I want to know who was the test subject, the poor test subject.
Her husband.
Fair enough. It totally could have been the mom. I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm forming a very intricate...
a beautiful story.
No, like, it's beautiful.
It would be a few drops over a period of time, like I said.
Like into food?
To drink, usually, because it was a clear liquid. So you could slip it in, just making... A lot of time the woman was in charge of cooking and cleaning.
So like, just in slip the wine.
It in. Yeah. So, and even in water, it's a clear liquid. Yeah. So it wouldn't look like anything weird was going on. So it was super easy to mix in. If with just a few drops into the drink, it would feel like a small cold. And after a few drinks with Aqua Tofana, you would feel like you had a full-blown stomach virus. So it would slowly just progress into these worse viruses until the point where you would start puking. You'd be dehydrated from puking. You'd be just super sick. The more and more drops you had, the worse it would get. So the more violent your symptoms would be. That would take, like, just 3 doses you would get there. So at that point, some people obviously could handle more, just like some people have a higher tolerance for alcohol.
Right.
Some people...
And I'm sure your body mass, like, had something to do with it.
But by 4 drops, usually 4 to 6 drops, it would be so severe you would die.
Good.
Sadly, a customer or somebody who knew a customer revealed her to papal authorities.
Terrible.
But get this, the locals loved her so much they protected her.
Good.
She sought sanctuary into a church, and while in hiding, a rumor spread that she poisoned Rome's water supply. And after that, police forced their way into the church and dragged her away. She was in sanctuary in a church, which for very religious people, that's a pretty intense thing. Yeah. In Rome, of all places, a very, it was the papal authorities after her. It was a very high religious place for them to march into a church and drag her out. They were pretty sure this woman was, like, trying to poison all of Rome.
Right, which is sick. You're dragged out of a church for poisoning Rome, potentially. Yeah. What was the likelihood that you think she actually did that, though? Like, I poisoned Rome, or that they just said that so they could arrest her?
I think it was... a lot of things said it was a rumor. And that the poison was just Aqua Tofana was the only poisoning that she did. Mm-hmm. She was tortured, and she eventually admitted to killing over 600 men in Rome alone with Aqua Tofana between 1633 and 1651.
20 years? About?
Yeah.
Give or take? Hate that she was caught.
Yeah, I know. She
literally is like the Robin Hood of, like, saving women from abusive situations.
Yeah, no, she was tattled on. She was doing everything perfectly, but it just got too big. Some
Some
goody
customer told their
two-shoes.
sister.
Yeah, told the wrong person, and then it just went the wrong way. She was executed in Rome in Campo di Fiori, which was like a famous square in Rome,
Okay.
is what I found out about it. So that's just a fun little tidbit. She was executed along with 4 helpers, so 3 helpers and her daughter was executed with her in July of 1659. After she was executed, they threw her body over the wall of the church that granted her sanctuary, which was, again, for very religious people, was such like a disgraceful and like that like sent chills up my spine that such like such a religious city would be like, they took in somebody who they'll grant sanctuary to anybody, and so they were like, I don't know, it seems so like such a big offense to like be like, look what you did, and throw a body over a wall to like just traumatize these people.
It's just really fucked up because like every time I think about sanctuary in a church, I think about the Hunchback of Notre Dame in the beginning of that movie, the Disney version.
Yeah.
Where it's the people running away from Judge Frollo and onto the steps of Notre Dame and saying, sanctuary, please give us sanctuary. Like, it's protection.
Yeah.
You can't.
But it's protection without questioning.
That, because it's like,
So
you're protected by the word of God at that point.
Yeah, I'm coming in here for protection, let me ask for forgiveness.
You can't desecrate a sacred place.
Yeah, and they
did.
Very much
twice.
did, yeah.
The only thing that could make it worse is if it was the fucking Vatican.
Yeah, I did not find anything that said it was the Vatican. Some of her customers were also executed, the ones that were found with Aqua Tofana, and some were bricked into the walls of dungeons in a palace in Italy.
Oh, so the Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. I have the name written down, but it's like Italian, so it's like Plazo. I don't know how to say
it. Don't try.
I'm not.
But that's fucked up. It's like the monster of the castle. You breaking them up.
And my last cool bit of information about Aqua Tofana is that there's a legend that Wolfgang Mozart, was poisoned by Aqua Tofana. But there's no concrete evidence of this. There is believed to be foul play in his death, and he did die by an unnamed suspicious disease. So
this bitch killed Mozart?
Mozart might have been killed by this lady. Very much a legend, but could have been.
But it's a very
under
cool legend.
Under the circumstances of which he died, it's not that far-fetched.
I believe it.
A rumor, but I want to believe it.
No,
in my
I want to
heart.
believe it. Like
That's just much more fun.
It's right. The connections are really doing it for me.
And
Dude, that's insane.
She was a crazy cool lady, so I want to believe she was even cooler.
I feel like it's wrong to advocate for her, but I really just want to.
From like it's wrong in a sense, but it's also the situations they were stuck in.
Right.
Like it's wrong.
Can you fault them?
Yeah. But
if you are giving them literally no other option and just saying
instinctually
be abused.
Be abused.
Right.
A wild animal wouldn't let you do that. So it's an intelligent animal's response to that same situation.
Right.
Which is such a weird way to look at it, but it was a brilliant escape plan.
That
it was. She sympathized so much with the other women around her that she made this brilliant plan and had it all worked out. Like the only reason she was caught is because somebody else was like, I'm gonna tell.
Right. I hate that. I hate that person.
I hate that that's how it ended.
That it makes me sad because it's like
because they just wanted divorce, They just wanted to advocate for themselves
and like protection, like asking someone to just shut up and take it and just deal with it. Like, absolutely not. That's bullshit. She responded in a way that made sense.
Yeah.
And
literally the only way to escape it.
In a way, it was kind of generous. Making it, like, giving them time to get their life in order.
Yeah.
Like, giving them the opportunity to become better people in the face of dying. Like, maybe don't hit your wife
Yeah, it gave people
And-
time to, like, think about it.
That, like, if I die, is this how I want to?
I like, also hated the fact that some men, like, that's what it took. They had to be on their deathbed to be like, maybe I shouldn't beat my wife. That was also just, like, a sad, like, facing the reality of how harsh some of these relationships they were stuck in.
And I know it was a different time.
Yeah.
I get that. But
They're still...
you can't fault them for what they did, because
It's still instincts.
like,
It's
it was
still...
a different time for men, but it was also a different time for the victims. Like,
Yeah.
everybody was held to a completely different standard than they are now, and you can't fault them for turning the way they did.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like, it's not like you can go to the courthouse and get a divorce.
Murder is wrong, but
murder is wrong.
That was all they had.
In that time, that was literally their only option, and they took it in a way that was arguably sane. And
some people didn't even have to die. They, like, got their
Right.
stuff together, which is also a plus side of Aqua Tofana. Again, magical name. I love it. I love it. It's such a good name.
no, it really does sound like a drag queen. And
Or-
that might just be because I did
Or
just
a mermaid,
finish
because the aqua.
season 10
Aqua Tofana.
of Drag Race, which features Aquaria.
It's just magical.
But, like, I agree with... I'm not going to finish that sentence.
I agree with poisoning people.
I'm just saying that it was
I see
safe,
where they were
sane,
coming from.
smart. Like, I see where they were coming from. The Robin Hood of murder. Good for you. Fuck Rome.
Isn't that such an interesting story, though?
No, dude, I did not expect that at all.
I
You
thought
really
that
came
was
out of the
so
gate
cool.
swinging, motherfucker. Like,
I was excited to share that. I started reading and I was like, this is too good.
no, like,
this
that's
is
really
too good to, like...
genuinely fantastic.
Oh, it was so fun.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
And I'm down for it.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. And now, looking back, one of the most successful serial killers? Hells yeah.
Especially for a woman in Renaissance Italy.
That's insane. And the fact that she didn't kill anybody. Quote unquote.
Yeah, it was she gave poison to other people to do with
Right.
what they may.
It was a web of murder. How many people did H.H. Holmes kill?
We need to see.
I'm Googling
if he,
it.
he
Because
beat Giulia Tofana.
H.H. Holmes death count. Let's find out. Oh, you're not ready for this.
Oh no.
You're not ready for this. 27.
2,700?
No.
Okay, 27.
27.
Oh.
That's it. Well, that's all he confessed to.
Oh, okay.
So between 20 and a few hundred, maybe.
Okay.
But that number capped at 200. So he has the possibility of having killed at least 200 people. He admitted to 27.
She admitted to 600.
That.
But she was also tortured, so you have to wonder how much was
True.
just a confession to end the torture.
Right.
But also she might have known she would be executed after either way, so
And
she's
it
like,
was like a
you know
final
what?
hurrah
Nah."
kind of thing.
Yeah. There's really no way to know if that number is true or not. And there's not records of who died by it because it was all written off as disease.
Yeah.
See, you don't know.
I wonder how many stories there are like that we just don't know about because they didn't get caught.
Yeah, if there was another person, like, in these apothecaries that
Like, just, or clever murders in general, like clever crime in
that
general.
you will just never know about.
That,
So interesting.
I hate that. I hate that that's a thought in my head now.
I have to think about how many people are getting away with murder right now. That's your thought bubble for today.
No, literally.
That's how
getting away with murder right now. It's like that. What's that statistic? It's like one out of every something people will kill someone. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I don't know the number, but I've heard it.
But it's that. I've heard that.
There's also another good one to look up if you're interested. Is how many on average how many serial killers you'll walk by in your lifetime.
I hate that. Don't want to
Isn't
know.
it? How many serial killers are just in your area and, like, on average you'll probably, like, walk by them in the supermarket
Don't want to know
that are either actively killing people or will kill someone in the future.
One of my favorite stories to tell in general, and I'm only going to mention it now. I'll probably do it in an episode, but I think I've already told you about it recently. Anyway, I'm getting beside myself. There was a point in time in the 1970s where there were 2, maybe 3 serial killers active in Baton Rouge at the exact same time with the exact same MO, doing the exact same thing.
That's so crazy that it lines up like that.
Yeah.
The coincidence of that.
The fact that they were both caught, and for those of you who are interested in going down a YouTube hole, one of them is Derek Todd Lee, who's one of the most famous serial killers in all of Louisiana. Most people forget, though, that after he was arrested, they realized there was physically no way for him to have been able to commit all of the murders in Baton Rouge at that time. And that's when they discovered that there was another serial killer. Sean Vincent Gillis is his name, and he is coined as the other Baton Rouge serial killer, is literally his title.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's a crazy story. But it's very interesting. And it's like, the fact that that's even possible. Like, absolutely not. I can't. How many serial killers did I walk by today? A solid, at least 2. Right?
Maybe. You will never know. If you walk by a serial killer in the supermarket today.
I hate that. I was followed in the supermarket today.
That's not a good sign.
No. By 3 guys. No, it was really creepy. At first, Lucille and I, because I went with Lucille, but at first I was pretty sure I was just like making something out of nothing because I'm a very paranoid person.
Mm-hmm.
We have a horror podcast.
Yeah.
I'm convinced everyone is trying to kill me. But they followed us around the entire supermarket. And then we got to the end and we were hopping back and forth between 2 aisles looking for, it was alcohol and mixers. So we were going back and forth, and they were going back and forth with us.
Ew.
And they were also texting each other, I guess, staring at us. Like, not even trying to be slick about it.
That's so
and
weird.
Because there was 3 of them. So one of them walked away, and in my head I was like, oh no, like, what is he about to do? Like, he's not with us anymore. Like, I don't have sights on one of the guys.
Yeah.
When we went up to the register, he was standing right there, waiting, saw us, texted, and then his friends walked up.
Ugh.
Yeah, we had to ask someone to walk us out.
That's so crazy.
It was really uncomfortable. And we're pretty sure, so they didn't get in line behind us. They got in line right next to us. And so we had like a cart full of groceries. They had 2 items in their hand. And they were like hanging back. So we're pretty sure that they were trying to time it so that they would walk out with us. Because there was an empty line.
Oh.
They did not have to wait. But they waited until we were most of the way through, like about to pay, before they started to get in line. They got in line behind another woman who had like 2 items, but she was being a fucking Karen. And she held them up. So we had time to talk to the cashier.
Superhero Karen. She didn't even know.
No, literally. She didn't even know, but we leaned toward the cashier and was like, hey, is there anybody who can walk us out? Like, we're a little freaked out. And she was like, abso-fucking-lutely, don't even say anything else. Like, I got you completely. Like, this happened to me the other day in Walmart.
Oh my gosh.
And she had a guy walk us out. He was very nice. He was very apologetic.
That's the message for today's episode then. Be safe and
ask.
If you're ever scared, just don't tell yourself it's nothing. Instincts are there for a reason. Be safe about it.
And also, like, do not be afraid to ask someone to walk you out.
Yeah,
because they
seriously.
9 out of 10 times will. And if
it could save your life.
Especially
the stuff
if you're
that happened. I was talking about this earlier today. The stuff that happens in like just parking lots full of people.
That
you don't realize how many like people have been kidnapped in parking lots filled with other cars.
Yeah.
But you're just so focused on your own life and like getting to your car and where you forgot where you parked. So much can happen in such a crowded area and you won't even know. So like don't ever go against yourself if you're ever in a situation like that.
Also, the cashier told me to get a taser. So that's what I'm doing also.
Pro tip, taser.
Cassidy, my best friend of all time, whom I love so very much. My favorite video of her, she got a pink stun gun named Regina George.
Beautiful.
And I have this video of her, and she was mad at someone. It was a rant on Snapchat. And she was talking like, oh, you're talking shit about me? Sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of my fucking stun gun. She's like zapping it into the camera. It's real scary.
That's beautiful.
I fucking love it.
Yes.
Get a weapon. And by a weapon, I mean a stun gun.
Yeah, no, be safe.
Please be safe. I hate the society we live in. That is even something I have to worry about.
Yeah.
But I'm very
crazy.
tiny, and the world's a dangerous place.
Yes.
And on that note,
On that happy note,
thank you for listening to today's episode.
it's episode 7. That's a lot.
No, literally, we're about to hit double digits,
That's going to be crazy.
dude. I cry or I tear up when I get the notifications that our podcast episodes are up. Like, that's crazy to me.
I'm
that
so
this is still
glad
happening.
that we're going through with it.
And now it's summer, so we get to do other stuff.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Thank y'all for listening.
Yes.
Couldn't do it without people listening, giving reviews. You know, it helps us out a ton.
That.
We're going to have more content out soon. We had to finish a final, so there was kind of
yeah.
a lull in content on other platforms, but we will be back posting on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I had to go through. I was like, what
Literally.
other social
Not
medias
Twitter. I hate Twitter.
We do not have a Twitter. Maybe,
or a Facebook, because why would we?
we don't have those things. But I mean, maybe we should get them so nobody else can get them and like.
Oh, we probably should reserve it and just leave it empty.
Yeah.
I hate Facebook.
Yeah, we can leave it empty though.
Who's going to run our Facebook? Not me.
I'm not about to run a podcast Facebook.
That
I'll run the podcast. Anything else?
we run the podcast.
Fair enough.
But seriously, thank y'all for listening. I'm so excited. And
Follow us for more fun content.
we're trying to concoct some fun stuff for the future. So stick around.
Hopefully it'll be here soon.
Fun and
So,
frisky and fresh. Thriving.
Thank you. Good night. Or good morning. Or good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah.